on, folks? This is Clay with Clay's AC and Auto Repair and Accurate Engines here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And if this video is helpful, please consider subscribing and sending me them sweet old thumbs up and leaving them nice comments at the bottom. If you've got a question and it's automotive related, you can hit me up on Clay's AC and Auto Repair on the Facebook Messenger. I certainly try to answer them for my subscribers for free, and it's much easier than answering the comments down below. Feel free to leave nice comments down there. And remember, if anyone else can do it, you can do it too. That I promise you. You can do it. I guarantee you. Just follow these instructions that I give you down here. And if they're helpful, at nighttime while you're sleeping, turn on one of the Keyway sweet playlists from my channel homepage. Turn the volume down on that old computer. Let them play from front to back, because that's how I make money on YouTube. It's only 0.2 of a cent, but it's better than nothing. So today we're going to remove the harmonic balancer off of this Sport Explorer Sport Trac. It's a 4.0 V6. The problem ends up being that the timing chain guides are bad inside the engine, but I have seen this cause serious runnability issues, and I thought it would be a great video for me not only to show you how to remove the harmonic balancer, but also explain to you why it causes them runnability issues and could potentially cause you a runnability issue as well. Taking it off doesn't require that many special tools, so it is something that you can do in your driveway rather simply. I also do this without removing the radiator or discharging any of the Freon or any of that stuff. And on my channel I have videos showing you how to remove it without the special tools that I use in this. So if you've ever had your Ford 4.0 run like crap, fall on its face when you give it some gas, I'm going to show you something that you can check, which is going to blow your mind if you didn't already know this. This runs like crap. You give it some gas, it dies, and it has codes. Okay, so one of the first things I did was take out that 8mm. Then I went down here and disconnected the connector here, slid a little red clip up, pushed down on the pressy, slid that up out of there. Then I slid this bar right out of that holder. For whatever reason, I was able to slide it out of that one at the tip, but not this one. Now we're going to take a belt tool, and we're going to take this off of here, loosen up our nut for our fan blade. The fan blade spins off counterclockwise. So you're going to push down on this as you hold that. You could also take a look at my 5-minute clutch fan removal process that requires very little tools. It's on my tips and tricks playlist here on my channel. All right, so what we're going to do is remove the 8mm that's right here. It could be a 10mm that holds on our power steering reservoir. We got a couple bolts right here on this particular year, but other years aren't going to have these accoutrements. All we need to do is, once we remove the fan, is get the fan blade shroud back towards the engine so we can pull the fan out of our way, and then we'll use a stubby 1/2-inch drive impact to take out the bolt out of the harmonic balancer. If you don't have a stubby one like this, I've got actually a video that shows you how to take out that harmonic balancer bolt by using the starter and holding it with the bar, loosening it up. But you're going to need something to knock that harmonic balancer back on, so I recommend a stubby impact. All right, so we look down the side of the fan shroud right here, and we're going to have 4 10mm bolts that need to be loosened. In some instances, there's just going to be 2 bolts up here, and they could be 8mm as well, that we'll take out, and then the fan shroud will come up like this out of some notches. I've seen that on the older style Ford Sport Tracs, Explorers, like such. But most of the stuff is going to be fairly close to what I'm showing you in this video. So on this particular fan shroud, I'm actually even luckier than that. It's 2-piece fan shroud, so I'll be able to just pull the 2 bolts from the top of here, pull it back, and hopefully I don't have to remove that radiator hose. If I do, it's just some clamps. Now, using our ratchet, we can loosen it counterclockwise, just like we did the fan blade, and take the belt off. All right, so we used a 3/4 inch socket, and I was able to get away with getting that out on this particular model. with my big cordless electric because my little impact wouldn't have enough air to spin it around and around through this hose right here. So we got that out. I loosen it up, and then I'm going to turn it out the rest of the way by hand because this would have gotten wedged in between the radiator and the harmonic balancer bolt. So the bolts that I'm using are 8mm by 1.25 pitch thread. They're about 5 inches long. The pen that I'm using that I'm going to insert into the harmonic balancer hole in between the center where I took my bolt out is a little bit over 5 inches long. It's about 5 1/4. We'll need that special puller to be able to pull this harmonic balancer off with the radiator inside. Okay, so we've got our puller. It's a normal puller. It's got a hole in it. We take that rod wherever it went right there, and we put it in the center here, and then screw our bolts down, and then we pull her out. All right, so we've got our bolts inserted in there. We don't have to worry so much about how tight they are. We just want them to be even and square this hole up. And if we can't stick this in here like this because of the puller being there and you need to reach back there and get your things in, you could run it through one of these holes right here, or you could remove the bolt out of the center of there, whatever tickles your fancy. But I need 2 hands, I think, to get that sucker in the center there. But you're getting the idea. You can run that little piece of metal in there. Okay, so when we get that all inserted in there, and if I didn't already say it and made video of it, I ended up using the 6 1/4 size one because this would bottom out with the length of these bolts. We just start tightening it up, and it'll pull the harmonic balancer off of there. Be careful not to bring it back and hit the radiator. We don't want any holes. And if you're worried about hitting the radiator, you could put a piece of cardboard in between the radiator there. Now we want to look at the reluctor ring on the back here for finger damage. But in the past, what I found is that rust ring right there causes big trouble. Big trouble, mister. You're in big trouble, mister. I don't know if this will fix it, but we'll take a look at the reluctor ring, make sure we don't have any damaged teeth on it, and we'll take and try to emery cloth that rust out of there. You can feel a groove down inside there too. So we want to make sure that that is on there right. We also want to inspect the keyway that this rides on inside the engine, because if there's a burr on the keyway, it'll stop it from going all the way on there. And then your crank sensor won't be aligned with these marks right here, and that'll throw your timing off and make it run funky like this one did. All right, so now that we've got our harmonic balancer off, we want to look down inside it and see if there's a bunch of rust buildup. Doesn't appear to be this way on this one, but in the past I've definitely had that. We want to look at the reluctor ring. We want to make sure none of these little pinholes are bent or broken. We also want to make sure that it's not loose and moving on there. This will definitely cause runnability issues. Right here is where the engine, basically the crank sensor says, hey, I'm at top dead center, or I'm starting over, and it starts again like a little clock going around here and telling the ECM where the engine's at. It counts all these little fingers, and that's how it correlates with the cam sensor on the top of the engine and tells the engine where it's at. So the little metal fingers on this ring are like numbers. I want you to think of them like a clock. It's communicating with the ECM, and the engine is telling it where it's located at. If the timing is off on the inside of the engine, these little fingers will not communicate properly to the ECM. If there's a large rust buildup on the inside of the shaft, or the keyway is not allowing the harmonic balancer to go onto the engine completely and properly, this is going to push the harmonic balancer away from the crank sensor, making the timing not work or function properly. In turn, making your engine not run correctly and causing big problems. And looking at this is going to help you a whole lot, even if it's not the problem in your situation. But we'll reinstall this if it's good, and how we'll do that is we'll put a little bit of grease inside here, and we'll put oil on the bolt. We could use oil inside here as well. We want to make sure that it gets nice and flush onto the engine to where it's supposed to be, to eliminate this as being a runnability issue. So if you're like me and you've seen this problem before, you can take a piece of emery cloth, which is basically sandpaper, and run it around inside there. If you got some rust buildup, you could also take a round file, but you don't want to take off too much of this because we don't want it slopping around inside there, because that'll definitely cause problems. And we can save ourselves a couple bucks by just cleaning it out. We also can make sure that we get it on there nice and tight, get her bolt in there really nice and tight, and this will help this go on here a little bit better if the rust is built up in here. Now we'll clean this out, put a little bit of oil or grease on the inside of here so it slides on real well. Put a little bit of oil on our bolt, and I say oil because we want it to go up inside the barrel properly. Make sure that we ensure that that's smooth and that there's no weird lip inside there. There is a metal lip down inside there, and I don't know how well y'all can see it, but there is a metal lip down inside there, and we can see, you know, that we had a little rust buildup in there. I don't think it was that bad, so I'm not certain that that's our problem. But if we look down in here in the keyway, we can see rust, which could also hold up the harmonic balancer from going onto the crank. So we're going to take a square file, a smaller one, and hit that keyway just a little bit to knock that rust off of there. That looks pretty good to me, so now we're good to go. We got to get this start on the keyway a little bit, so tapping it with a hammer is a good idea. Just be careful, do not hit your radiator. Once you tap that on there a little bit, you'll be able to restart the bolt in the center of there and tighten it down using Ford's proper torque specifications. Then we'll put it back together and see what we got. So we got the harmonic balancer back in here, and it did idle much smoother. Didn't fix the problem. The problem ended up being that at an idle, the cam and crank were correlated, but above an idle, they would go out of correlation because one of the timing chain guides are broken inside the engine. So unfortunately, we weren't able to rectify this today, but I'm certain that we'll rectify it here real soon in the future. But this is something that you can check out for absolutely free, and quite possibly could be your problem. Remember, if anyone else can do it, you can do it too. That I promise you. If you've got a question for me and it's automotive related, I can't help you with your baby mama drama, but you can hit me up on Clay's AC and Auto Repair on the Facebook Messenger, and I'll certainly try to help you out. Remember, at nighttime, when you're going to sleep, turn your computer on and open up that Clayway playlist. Put one of my sweet long playlists on and let that sucker play from front to back. God bless you folks. I hope I helped you save some money. You were able to get the job done.